Shit. That one really got me. It got me good. Oh, what the fuck is up, my little cats and kittens, and welcome to another episode of the OVER Sharra Podcast. I'm your host, Sharra Coley, and I'm gonna be doing what I do best, which is oversharing about whatever the fuck I want to, okay? Because this is my podcast. And here on the OVER Sharra Podcast, I believe, we believe, whoever we is, we all believe it, that oversharing is caring, okay? So let's fucking get into it. If you haven't noticed, we have some improvements today. And if you haven't noticed, then well, fuck you. No, I'm just kidding. But there are some improvements. If you can't tell, the video quality of this should be way better. I officially have, drum roll please, a camera other than my Mac camera and other than my iPhone. So every episode I am really just trying to like improve. Again, I started from recording on my phone for the first episode, not knowing what the fuck I was doing. So I'm enjoying learning this process. And as I go, getting better and better and improving the quality for the people who are listening and watching to this. So yeah, I officially have a camera. I am wearing my headphones. I can fucking hear myself. I have my new mic. I have my setup, at least for what I want for now. Things are going to continue to improve. So that's just like what I want to put out there, that every day we're getting better. Okay. That's the motto of life, is that like, it may only be 0.5%, 0.25%, a baby tiny percent, but every day we're getting fucking better, okay? Every day we're learning more about ourselves. Every day we're investing more into the things that make us happy, and we're fucking improving, okay? That's what we're doing here on the OVER Sharra Podcast, so welcome. Also, a new thing, if you have been here for any of the previous episodes, you might notice that I am back to no glasses, okay? No sunglasses today. If you're watching this, you get to see my real fucking eyes. And if I do this weird little lazy eye shit, it's not a lazy eye. It's like I do like this weird winking thing. Like I don't know if like I have like a neurological like connection. Oh, it's like a little spaz thing that I do. I noticed it about myself whenever I recorded, so I started wearing sunglasses. I talked about it on our previous episode. I was feeling super, I guess, self-conscious about the way that my eyes would be whenever I was recording my podcast, so I started like wearing sunglasses. And then a friend of mine gave me some feedback, which, listen, like I love feedback, like I love input, I love anything that's going to like make me feel more connected to my audience. And a friend of mine just very candidly told me like, look, I think, I don't necessarily, watch your podcast all the time because I'm not a huge podcast person, but the clips and everything that I see and the concept that I know to be true about your podcast is that you're trying to connect with people. You're trying to talk about potentially some like very vulnerable things or some like very taboo things, which requires, a level of trust and connection and things like that. And the way that you build that, and something that's so special about you is that you're so good at creating that in person because you're not afraid to like look people in the eyes and things like that. So I am going to retry this. I'm going to relaunch myself into the universe, sunglasses free. And, we're gonna, this is the year of self-acceptance and self-love and all of those things. So we're going to really just put that on and do our darndest to not care. So if you have something to say about my eyes when I'm recording, you know what I have to say to you? Fuck off. Okay? Fuck all the way off. I don't care. This is who I am, and if you don't like it, then you can get the fuck out. Okay. Alrighty, so I tried to record this episode 3 times, so I'm really, really hoping that the 4th time, in this case, is the charm. 4th time is the best time. I was gonna re-record last night, and then I just, I wasn't in the mood to drink. I wasn't in the right mindset. I was a bit, as some would say, unwell, but not unwell in the way of like hungover or unwell because I had been partying and enjoying life. No, unwell because my boyfriend and I got into our first ever big fight on Sunday, and my mind was just very unwell. This is something that I definitely want to talk about because I feel like I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it. There's not a lot of people in my life who I hear talk about themselves struggling with this. It's something I struggle with. And so what I have come to know to be true about life is that if I am feeling it and I am experiencing it, there is somebody else on this planet who feels and experiences it, the same things that I do. Like there's at least one other person, and more so than that. Like come on, how many billions of people are on the earth, and you think that you're alone in whatever you're thinking and feeling? You're fucking insane. Okay, so I'm gonna use a reach which we didn't used to have, which is this, me talking to you via interwebs. Wherever you are. So I am a kind of person that when I am feeling stressed or I am feeling anxious, something happens, like my boyfriend and I got into a fight, I'm experiencing conflict, anything like that, where like I literally cannot stop the overthinking. It is just like I turn the thoughts and the conversations and the what ifs and the unknowns and all of the worry and the anxiety and everything that like all of it, I just turn it over and over and over again in my brain to the point where like it quite literally makes me sick. Like I have talked about this before on this podcast, and I still like I believe this to my core, that the anxiety that I've experienced throughout my life and the way that I can't escape from the overthinking, like I quite literally believe that that's how I ended up with ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease, is because I just have so much of my life spent in just this hyper elevated space. So like even today I was just feeling like super nauseous. Like I really struggled to eat, I struggled to focus, I struggled to do anything other than just like obsess over what it is that is bothering me or that I'm worrying about or that has happened. Like it sucks. Like it is just like I wish I could escape it. I've gone to therapy for years. Like I have all of the tools, I have all of these things to understand how to cope, and I've definitely gotten better with time. Like at least now I know that I have improved because I can actually go to work. Like I can actually, in like a little bit of a way, compartmentalize. Like it's still very much there, but I have learned how to, like, I still have to show up, right? Like unfortunately, like that's how our world is built, that we can't really take time to experience our humanness and our human emotions because our life and society is built around responsibility and showing up. Like this is a big reason why I have always said that like I don't want kids, because when I'm in this state of being, up until here within the last like couple of years, where like I've gone through therapy, like I've really put in the work to try and get better at this, because it's just gotten to it. Like it gets to a point where I'm like, I can't live like this. Like when I'm in a state of stress or something like that, or like when I'm dating, like dating is a huge trigger for me. And I like my nervous system, I can't live like that. So like I've gone through therapy. I've done all of these things to try to learn how to cope. So I've definitely gotten better, but there were times in my life where like literally I would be paralyzed by this. Like I wouldn't be able to show up to things. I would have to cancel plans. I would have to call out of work. Like I couldn't regulate. And so now, like, at least I can regulate, right? Like at least I can still show up, like, and for the most part put on a good face, but on the inside, like, or to do anything that requires me to actually sit down and focus and to like lock in, like it is impossible. So like yesterday I just basically had to call it mostly a wash. Like I got like little spurts of things done, but I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna reach out to a friend, I really need a hug. Like I can't stop turning it off, and it's just it quite literally makes me sick. Like I can't sleep, I can't eat, I'm nauseous. Like it is a visceral whole body reaction, and it just really, really sucks. So that's what I'm experiencing right now. I think that this is good. I think that it is good that we got into a fight. Every time that I have conflict in relationship, I think that as much as I ruminate on it and as much as it bothers me, I think something that I can be proud of myself for is that I always try to take it as a learning moment, right? Like relationships. And that's going to be like something a heavy part of today's topic is like relationships and things. Also, I'm going to tell you the story about the time that I was engaged to a man who solicited sex on Craigslist. Oral sex on Craigslist from men. Anyhow, we will get there. But before that, like, I'm really just clearly, because all of this happened, but even still, like, I have like these notes here, like a very like relationship focused, of how society breeds us to believe that you're just supposed to like with the right person or like the one, everything is going to be perfect and right. And you have this like romanticized idea about what partnership is. And I think that that is such a detriment, especially to us women, and specifically us women who might classify ourselves as a bit of pleasers. We want to be the cool girl a lot. And we don't necessarily stay true to what we think and what we feel because we're too scared to like rock the boat, or like society has just bred us to believe that like we're supposed to be easy and love should be easy and like the right one will be this perfect person. They're going to check all of these boxes, and like this notion that this person was like carved specifically for you, like that is such bullshit. And it takes such an unlearning to know that like that's not what real partnership, that's not what real relationship is about at all. Like sure, there is this giddy honeymoon feeling, at the very beginning. It's exciting, right? Like, and there's anxiety involved, like there's so much unknown. But I think that that's also what's so wrong with marriage and society, is that nobody's actually looking at the real shit that matters. Like, as much as it's been upsetting to me that we got into this big fight and like things that I've been obsessing over and things, I think the thing that is so good is that you can't really know a person until you have to have some sort of conflict resolution. And conflict resolution is one of the most important things in a relationship above trust, and like basic needs. But like your ability to resolve conflict together to where you're actually trying to work towards a common goal of like, we're not against each other. I'm not trying to like, nobody's trying to win here. We're working towards the same goal. Like we're trying to resolve this together. How do we meet in the middle? Because you're your own human. I'm my own human. I come with my own baggage. You come with your own baggage. Like, these are my triggers. This is my shit. This is how it's going to show up. And like, I can't promise that it's never going to happen again. I'm fucking human. And like, this is my shit. Here it is. Here is my shit. Here it is for you to look at. And is this the shit that you want to work through with me? Because you know that like my heart is in a good place, or like, is it not? And I think that this is just like a really pivotal moment. I always call it in the relationship, it's like the 8-month curse, of where like you either make it to the 8 months, because around 8 months I feel like is about when you start to like really start to go through different seasons with a person, or potentially see them in a different light. Because the first several months of your relationship is just, it's such a whirlwind, right? Like it's so exciting. You're getting to know this person. You're putting on your best face. They're putting on their best face. Like, it's so easy to kind of hide in a relationship for the first several months. But I feel like once you start getting to that like 6-month or 8-month range, I genuinely have always called it since about high school that I've always joked like it's the 8-month curse. Like you're either going to make it past the 8 months or you're not. Like, it's always around 8 months that you break up or you stay together. And you typically have some sort of like big thing, because you can only keep up some of how you're being for so long. And all of us want to make other people happy. I think that that's just like an innate part of being human, is that we, even if you're more, you lean towards more of like a selfish person, like we all have the innate desire to want to make somebody else happy and to please and to belong. Yeah, we want to have that homeostasis, that ease, right? But like that can only stay for so long. And like we even see that with weather. Wow, I'm getting really philosophical here. It must be the weed and the margarita. Anyhow, I think we all have that just innate desire for that. But then becomes something that creates hardship, something that creates stress, something in the relationship that might be bothering you that you've been too afraid to speak up about. Like, that's me. I'm a pleaser in relationships. I've always talked about this with my therapist, that it's something that's really frustrating about myself, because in all of my other relationships, in my professional relationships, in my personal relationships, my friendships and things, I am able to be, my familial relationships, everything, I am able to be very candid and direct and stern, I guess, about my boundaries. And when it comes to my romantic relationships, I could not be further from that in a lot of areas. Like, I definitely have learned to stand up for my boundaries and for things that I need, but that has come with a lot of learning. And I'm still every relationship has been a learning for me of like, wow, like, okay, this is the trigger here, or this is the trigger there. Like, what? I think that is what relationships are. Like, every person is going to bring out something different in you, and how you show up to that relationship is going to, like, no relationship is ever the same, because that person is going to bring out something different in you, if maybe that you haven't even realized is something that you struggle with. And so every relationship, every fight is definitely like a learning lesson, and I've gotten better with it, of being able to understand it and enforce my boundaries. But I would say even still, I really struggle to speak up when I'm actually feeling things, because I get like kind of awkward. I don't really know when is the right time and turf to bring things up. And you know, I'm such a quality time person that when I'm in somebody's presence, I believe that you should, with anything that is like a big issue or that you want to talk about, you should always talk about that in person, because text is the worst. You should never talk about serious issues through text. Like, that is the absolute like golden rule. Don't talk about serious shit through text, because you don't have any context. You don't have any verbal or physical cues of how they're feeling. Like, you can take it how you're interpreting it. So like, text is the worst. I think like call could be possible, but again, like, you still don't have the body language. You still don't have the ability to like physically engage with that person. Like, I genuinely just always want to address things in person. However, I get really timid to address things that are bothering me. And so that is my baggage. I am the cool girl until I'm not. Until like, I'm like, okay, I've been getting you these like subtle signs. And that's what like pisses me off about myself, is that is the first thing that I will tell somebody when I'm in a working situation. Like, ask anybody that's ever worked with or for me. I will be like, okay, if you're bringing an issue to me and you know, have an issue with somebody else or anything, my first thing is going to be like, okay, have you talked to this person about it? And if your answer is no, that's going to be my first piece of advice. It's like, okay, well, they don't know that you're feeling this way. How can they know, like, how can they do something different if they don't know that you're feeling this way? So like, I believe that to my core, yet here I am like struggling to implement that myself in my romantic relationships. Like, I can do it in my professional relationships, I can do it in my friendships, but when it comes to my romantic relationships, like, I quiver. I don't speak up a lot of the times, and then it just like comes bursting out. Like, it's the, you know, but that's my shit, and I can own my shit. And I think that where I was going with this is like, one, that's been on my mind, but two, I think that like conflict resolution is such a big thing, because this is going to be a pivotal moment of like seeing how, okay, well, how can we show up to this together? What's bothering me is real, and how I responded is also very real. There's behaviors, like, there's all this, you know, these things around it, but it's just like, how we resolve it together is just going to be very telling. And I think that like in relationships, we want to believe that you're just going to meet like the one, because I feel like the one has been like, it's like a marketing thing. Like, you see it in movies, you see it in, you know, Disney, like, you see it all over the place, that like, there's just the one. We've been bred to believe that there is one human in this entire world who was like specifically constructed to meet all of our needs, wants, and all. Like, that is such bullshit. And also, like, what a terrible way to think. Like, what happens when the one dies? Huh? You just believe that you're just never going to be able to love or find somebody who could be just as good, if maybe not even better of a fit for who you are at that point in your life? Like, the idea of the one in the way that society is built is such bullshit. The one is the person that you choose. Like, point blank. No one is ever going to meet all. No one is ever going to check all of your boxes. They need to check the important ones, right? Like conflict resolution, values. How do you see your future? How do you how do you align on certain things? Like the things that actually matter about building true long-term relationship and partnership. If you think that that person is going to show up as like this perfect healed person, they're going to check all these boxes because the one was made for you, like that is just such a crock of shit. The one is going to be the person that you just literally decide, this person meets enough of my requirements in partnership that I feel like I could build something real and sustainable. I would want to choose this person. They are in my corner. I am in their corner. I'm like, even when it's hard, I'm going to continue to choose to be in their corner. They're going to fuck up. I'm going to fuck up. And even when that happens, I want to say, I'm choosing you, even though you freaking annoy the shit out of me right now. That's the one. Okay. So like this idea that this person is just going to like show up and be perfect, I think is like, it's an unlearning even for me, right? Of somebody who's like so aware of this, of being like, okay, even though this person is so great, they're still going to fuck it up. There's still going to be shit that we have to work through. Even me, how self-aware I am, right? Like I'm like fucking shit up. And so it's just, I just wanted to like talk on that for a little bit, because I think that as I see people getting engaged and married and divorced and kids and all this, you know, especially at my age, I feel like, you know, at 37 going on 38, I've seen people get married. I've seen people get divorced. I've seen new relationships happen. I've seen better relationships happen. I've seen people break up and get back together. Like I've seen so much of it happen, and it's just like, it's not supposed to be this just like Prince Charming comes in, swoops you off your feet, and like, no, you're supposed to have hard conversations, and the hard conversations need to happen before you do shit like moving in with one another. Like I think one of the biggest lessons that I have learned in my dating time, my time being alive in my dating life, is to not make any sort of big commitment with a person until you've had a big fight with them, until you can see how you resolve conflict. Because I have found myself twice in situations where I was living with people before we had ever gotten into an argument, and sometimes it can take a year. Like really and truly, I think that, you know, the first year is just such a learning period. And until you have like a big fight where you have to realize how you come together, or you've seen this other person like really, really mad, you got to learn that shit about somebody. And until you do, I think that like, it's just not a good decision to be making such weighty decisions like moving in together, getting married and things like that. Like, learning who somebody is in their times of anger, in their times of grief, in their times of struggle with money or in their job, but specifically with conflict. Anyways, that's what I'm going to say on that. That's what's been on my mind. So that's a little bit into my life. I'm not going to give you any other details about what our argument was about. I think that's something that I've also learned in my older years. Who are the appropriate people to share like the inner details of your relationships in life with, and who are not the people to share that with. And one, the public, definitely not the place to share the inner drama of your relationship. Oh, hi, Shrimpy. If you're watching, you see my little cat baby. He's a sweet baby boy. Anyway, so the public is not somebody who you want to share the inner workings of your relationships and your problems with, and your parents. So this is something that I've had to like really try to practice in the last, I don't know, maybe 5 years of my life. Is the first person that I typically want to talk to feel soothed or to just like talk to is my mom. And I've grown up very close to my mom, and, you know, I've shared probably too much. You know, that's my theme here. Overshare. I overshare. Even with my mother. Like I tell my mom a lot. I've told my mom a lot. She has known a lot about my life and relationships and my drama and my feelings and things, and has been the person who's really listened. However, while I love her for that, and I'm so glad that I have that kind of relationship, I've also had to realize that it's not necessarily the appropriate person to share when I'm having issues with my partner, because she's my mom. That's going to distort her perception of this person, and in future conversations will, impact her bias and things like that. I think for me and getting older, something that I've realized is that you have to learn who is the person for what. Like, while we're on the topic of relationships, is that I think a lot of people want to believe that their partner is also supposed to be like their everything, their best friend. And while, yeah, like having a partner who also feels like a best friend is fucking awesome. However, they're also not your best friend, in the sense that like they can't fill all of the shoes that the other relationships in your life need to fill. Like, they can't be the person you go to for everything. Like, you still need to maintain the relationships that serve you for specific things. Like, for instance, like, my mom is not the person that I need to go to for relationship advice. First of all, she's 80. Okay? She's 80 years old. My 80-year-old mother is not the person I need to go to for relationships advice in the year of 2025. She can't relate. 2, she's my mother. She doesn't need to know the drama that I'm having in my relationship, because it's going to distort her vision, her relationship with that partner if they continue to be in my life. My mother is my mother, and she is meant to be there to comfort me when I'm not feeling well and I'm sick. Life is hard and things like that, but she's not the person who's supposed to know about the inner details of my relationship. So I think that that's also just another thing that I've had to, practice some self-control with, and like really enforce that boundary for myself, is that when we got into this argument the other day, like the first person I wanted to call because I was super upset was my mom. But I had to pause and be like, she's not the appropriate person to call right now. So had to pause on that. That's my advice too. Like, if you're in relationship, getting into a relationship, is make sure that you don't forego the other relationships that serve such an important role in your life of, who's your mentor, who's the person that's going to give you a hug, who's the person that's going to go out on a Friday night to have drinks with you on a whim, who's the person that you're going to travel with. Like, don't lose those relationships when you get into a relationship. It's so important to continue to nurture your girl relationships and friendships when you're in a relationship. I mean, I'm not a guy, but correct me if I'm wrong, because I feel this way about men. Like, way hotter when you have a fucking life of your own versus when you're just like waiting around on them for plans all the time. Like, go do your own shit, keep your own life, don't lose your identity in the relationship, so that when and if shit does go awry, you still got people in your corner. Okay? That's my spiel. The one is fucking bullshit. But as I look over at my little handy dandy notebook, I just see the words Taylor Swift, and I'm like, oh. But let's talk about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, and we'll just talk about this very briefly, because I'm not a big Swiftie. I really didn't start listening to Taylor Swift until last summer, whenever I went on my little California road trip. I flew out to California and went on this big road trip, and I really didn't start listening to her until then. But listen, what I can tell you is that I think she is a brilliant lyricist, and I think she is a brilliant businesswoman, and I think that she is a genuine human being, and I think that she brings a lot of light and love and joy to a lot of people's lives, and I can respect that, and I can get on board with that. And I have been listening to her music since last summer, and again, she's a brilliant lyricist and writer. She writes her music, and I think I can just really respect somebody who has just like genuine talent, a genuine heart, and I just love the relationship between her and Travis Kelce. I usually don't care much for like celebrity anything or celebrity relationship, but I could just literally watch them all day. Like, they are so cute and in love, and I think that is just like the most special thing to witness. And because like I think that I feel that way too, and like I feel such the difference between what feeling safe in somebody's presence versus not feeling safe in somebody's presence, and like how you can literally physically see that. Like, she has a physical glow, and I think that I can finally understand what people have meant when they have said that to me in the last several months of like, since I left my previous job that was causing me literally just so much terrible anxiety and depression, and there's a lot I have left to say on that one. But yeah, that plus just my personal life anxiety of things I had going on, like it was just draining the light out of my eyes. And I understand, because like I can see it in her, and I think it's just so special to see somebody in the presence of somebody who makes them feel so safe, and what that can unlock for somebody, and how you can just blossom as a human being when you're given the right environment and when you stand up for your right environment. Like I think it's just, what a great example of a celebrity to not get engaged and married until she's in her mid-30s. Like I just think what an impact that is going to have on the younger generation, to show them that like you don't have to follow in these old like geriatric traditions. Be your own fucking person, be your own fucking boss, make your own decisions. You can decide, like you can choose when you want to get married, if you want to get married, do you want to have kids, do you not want to have kids? Like there's so many options other than I think what has been shown to us societally. And I think it's such a cool thing to have somebody like her who has made such a big imprint and impact to be taking such a stand for that. And I really, really respect her. Let's also mention she's dropping an album, and Justin Bieber just dropped a second half of his Swag album, so he now has a 44 song album. Like though I'm feeling healed inside for as much chaos is going on the outside. I'm feeling healed by these two people, and I just thank you so much for your contributions, and to artists all around the world, because really and truly I think that that's just like such a special thing. Musicians and artists and actors and things who can just bring us some levity and distraction and some escape. You know, that's like what books are. That's what, you know, anybody who's in the creative arts, they're just providing a level of creative escape from the crazy shit that is what is being human and being alive. So thank you to every single creative person out there who is giving us something to be a part of and immerse ourselves into, other than the sad shit that goes on or the hard shit that goes on as being human. Because man, fucking life can be going so fucking good. Like I would say that, you know, I'm in a pretty good season of life, and there can just still be shit that just is so fucking hard. It is so fucking hard to be alive. It is so fucking hard to be a human being who experiences emotions. I really do just thank people who provide that outlet, and I encourage you to get a hobby. You know, I think that that's also something in my adult life, is realizing that like we need some distraction sometime. Like I started painting my sunroom, like my office, and now I have got the itch. Like I want to paint my whole fucking apartment. And y'all, painting is not a cheap thing. So I have learned, okay? However, it is very therapeutic. And now I want to paint my cabinets. I want to paint my room. I want to paint my bathroom. Like I want to just make it my own. Anyway, so get a hobby, okay? If you're feeling sad, watch a good movie, find an entertaining outlet, listen to your favorite song, or get a fucking hobby, okay? That's my advice today. Motherfuckers, speaking of the one, let's talk about the time I got it really fucking wrong with the one, okay? This is the product of me being 25 and fucking stupid and believing, you know, quick love. As strong of a person as I am mentally, I really suck in relationships. I really do. I really choose emotionally unavailable men, but this person in particular was, I think, the closest thing to a sociopath and a psychopath that I've ever dated. Anyways, we're going to get into talking about the time that I got engaged to a man who I ended up ending the relationship with and the engagement with, because I found out that he had created a Craigslist ad soliciting oral sex from men. That's right. You heard those words correctly. I didn't even know that that could be a thing until it happened to me. So here we go. Not many people know this about me, but yes, I was engaged once upon a time. Very briefly, if I might add. And, if I might add, we also got engaged very, very quickly. So this is a lesson for anyone listening, is it might feel so exciting and like this is the love of your life. But after 6 weeks of knowing somebody, you definitely should not get engaged. Okay? So if there's anything you take from this story, give it some time. If this is your person, what's the rush? Okay? And you can't possibly love someone in 6 weeks. And what I mean by that is, I think you can have feelings of love, but you don't know someone enough to love them in the way that you need to choose lifelong partnership after 6 weeks. Okay? And if someone tells you that they love you after 6 weeks, that is what we call a flaming red flag. I think that there are a lot more definitions for things now, because you have to remember I was 25, so this was 12, almost 13 years ago. And I think that there are a lot more definitions and just like knowing of things now with the internet and the explosion of things like Instagram and TikTok, that we have things like love bombing and things like that. But like that wasn't common. Like I wasn't aware of what love bombing was or anything like that. Like it was just very fast and furious. And I have seen other people get involved in very fast and furious relationships. And I think that like that is red flag number one. So anyways, let me tell you the story about how we met, how this happened, and how this unfolded. Here we go. Okay, so I had been living in New York City and decided that I was going to leave New York City because the reason that I moved to New York City specifically was to pursue dance. I had danced my entire life. I had been in and out of kind of what I would call the show business world when I was young. I went to a lot of auditions for different things: commercial acting, dance, Broadway, movies, like all kinds of different stuff. I had different gigs and different things, and eventually got to the point where I wanted to stop doing any sort of like the auditioning for the theatrical side of things and the movie side of things, and I just stuck with dance. I got really burned out and I think just overwhelmed and insecure maybe. And so I just stuck with dance. So I continued to pursue dance even past high school. I went to college. I went to the University of Alabama. I pursued dance at the university. I got a degree in dance. I was in company, all of these things. And then immediately after graduating, after that summer, I moved to New York City with the intention of continuing to pursue auditioning with dance. I don't think I really knew exactly what my plan for dance was, but I think my vision was to dance professionally in some capacity, whether that be on tour with someone. But I soon realized that to do that, you need to go to LA, and I was in New York, and that's more of the theatrical. Anyhow, I did continue to dance, but more so like taking classes and assisting teachers and things like that. I auditioned for the New York Knicks City Dancers. I made it to the final 24. They chose 22. So like I was doing things like that and kind of like making my way. And I just reached this point where it just like I wasn't really motivated to do it. Like I also was working full time and trying to survive in New York City. And if you haven't ever lived there or know what that feels like, it's incredibly hectic and also exciting. You know, I was in my 20s and at the time was working for a bar and restaurant and everything. And so it was this very exciting time and got caught up in that. And I think I just came to this realization that being involved in the dance world was actually not healthy for me. Like I think I needed a break from it because I had a really bad eating disorder that I was trying to get away from. Like I enjoyed taking dance classes, but I was not motivated to keep going to auditions, and I didn't really foresee myself like pursuing a career with dance. Like I still love taking class. I think that there is still this aspect of it that I'm so glad that I have the talent and I still want to continue to pursue it. I think I gave up on that turning into something being professional for me because I saw how it was detrimental for my mental health and my body image. So once I've worked through that for myself and kind of like decided that dance wasn't the avenue that I wanted to continue to pursue, I was just kind of like, why am I still in New York City? New York City is a wonderful city. I love it, but it's also a very hard city to live. I was never able to live alone there. Like, if there's anything that people know about me is I love my alone time. And like, you always have to have a roommate because it's so expensive to live there. You live in a fucking shoebox. Like, it's just like a hard city to live in. It was a great time in my 20s, but like, unless you're rich and like have the ability to like have a nice spot and like live alone, it's hard. And I didn't want to continue living in that hustle culture. And so it was just like, well, if I'm not pursuing this thing that I literally moved here for, like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm a waitress and a bartender, and like, sure, it's fun and everything, but what am I doing with my life? So I decided to move back to Alabama to go back to school. So I had graduated from Alabama with an undergrad in dance and a minor in food and nutrition. So I lacked just a couple of classes to make it a double major. My plan was I was going to go back to school to get my second degree with nutrition and then pursue a master's and to become a dietitian. So I moved back to Alabama and started going back to school, and very quickly into getting back into school, two things happened. One, I soon realized that I did not want to do that. Like, I realized that the jobs that came along with that program were not exactly what I was hoping to do with my degree. And so I think there was a lot of hesitation with like the financial investment and things like that. And two, I started working at a bar called Innisfree. It's actually really popular now, which is hilarious because I've like seen it all over. Like, I guess like sorority talk is like a thing now, where like they like have all these people who are in like the University of Alabama sororities and everything who are like day in the life. Anyways, it's like crazy to see, but like they go to Innisfree, and I used to bartend there. So I started bartending at Innisfree and kind of got caught up in the lifestyle, to be rather honest. I really just got very distracted from my studies because I met the person that I got engaged to. I'm not going to say their name, but we're going to call them the Joker, because their smile was so big and like it just like reminded me of the Joker. Like, this just big, huge, wide smile, very charismatic, like very distinct. So we're going to call them the Joker. So I was bartending. It was a happy hour, and I don't remember all of the details like super vividly. One, I smoke a shit ton of weed, so like my memory is absolute hell. Two, I'm severely ADHD, so that I don't recall details necessarily all too well. And three, we drank a lot. Okay, I was drinking a lot. So I do remember though that he came in, he wanted to have a white Russian, so I was making him white Russians, and I was like, ew, like this person's just drinking like glasses of milk. It's so fucking gross. But that's neither here nor there. And so he had like come in and was very, very charming, like super, super charismatic. And I think something about me is that I tend to be attracted to people who are different from like the run-of-the-mill people in the town. So like what I mean by that is it's just like everyone kind of looks the same. All the men look the same. Like at Alabama, they had like this, or at least when I was in school, they had this fucking like side swoopy hair. Everybody's wearing fucking boat shoes and those stupid little like fishing button-ups. And I'm like, oh, did you just get off the boat? Like, why are you all wearing this? Like, anyway, everyone looks the same. They have on like khakis and either like a white fisherman's with those big pocket button-ups or like a polo. Like, they literally just all look the same. It's like the same hairstyle, the same clothes. And so I think I'm just attracted to people who, when I see them, I'm like, oh, you don't look like everybody else. So that's what the Joker was like. Like, he was very tall, like had so many tattoos, just like this super very charismatic personality, and we just like really hit it off. Like, our energy just really hit it off. Long story short on that, you know, we ended up exchanging numbers somehow, and he ended up inviting me to hang out with him. So our first date, literally, I just went over to his house in like my sweatpants, and we drank wine at his house. I don't even remember if we had sex the first night. I can't remember, but we did end up having sex very quickly because I remember that was like a pretty big like part of our relationship very quickly. And how I got so attached so quickly is because he was really the first person who introduced me to anything outside of just like kind of very normal sex. Where like he had a very promiscuous past, at least what he would tell me. Like, I don't know whether or not how much of it is true or not true, I'm not sure, but like had apparently used to live in like Miami Beach, was involved in kind of like a lot of the club and like the drug scene. You know, he had gone through rehab and all this kind of stuff, and so I think it was like a little bit exciting to me because it was like, oh, like I don't know what that is. And I think there was always just me that was like very sexually curious, meaning like about toys and about fantasy and about, you know, things like that. So he was the first person who I felt like I started having freer sex with. I wouldn't say that I felt like my most free with him, but it started opening my mind to that world. However, it also created a lot of insecurity in me because I wasn't experienced in that way at the time. The best thing I got out of that relationship is the glass dildo. Like, I fucking kept that shit. I still have it in my drawer. But yeah, so he just like started unlocking that side of me and that side of me. So the very beginning of our relationship was like very sex heavy, very physical. And so we were drinking a lot. I would go over to his place and we would just like sit on the front porch and drink bottles of wine together, and just like, yeah, we just got along really, really well. We had a lot of sex, and just, it was kind of a whirlwind relationship. And it was like 6 weeks in that we had been like sitting on his front porch and we had been drinking wine, and it kind of came like we were drunk when it came up, and he like mentioned something about us getting married, and I was like, yeah. And then I went to work, came home, he literally had gone out and gotten a ring. And so it was just kind of like this whirlwind relationship. I thought I was in love. I thought it was this like, you know, and it was so honeymoony. But then and this is why I say you have to go through seasons with people. You have to see how they are. Not too long after we got engaged, we went through a traumatic event together, because there was this day, actually. 1 second. I need to get some fucking water because my throat is dry as the fucking Sahara Desert. I'll be right back. Okay, so there was this day that I had been bartending all day. It was the LSU Alabama game. I was working a double that day. And so he came to the bar, Innisfree, while I was bartending. And again, I was working like literally all day long. So at the end of my shift, I'm exhausted. I was like, okay, let's go. So we drive back to my apartment, and it's game day weekend, so there's so many people in town. So we're driving around my apartment complex trying to find a place to park, and there's this one parking spot that there's this trailer that is empty. It's just an empty trailer in a parking space. And so he's like, hey, like, pull over. I'm going to move this trailer onto this grassy patch over here because, like, fuck this. Like, it's just an empty trailer. Like, we can park there. This trailer can sit on this grassy patch. I was like, okay. So he goes to move this trailer, and when he goes to set the trailer down, the piece that keeps the trailer from lying on the ground, like, folded under, and the trailer, like, came down and hit him in the shin. Like, the trailer hitch hit him in the shin, and he just starts screaming. He's like, I think I might have broken my leg, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what? And so he comes over and he's like, yeah, I think I might have broken my leg or something. He lifts up his pant leg, and I shit you not, just blood started squirting everywhere. Like, it was insane. I just immediately took my shirt off and I wrapped it around his leg like a fucking tourniquet because I had nothing else with me, and I'm just trying to like put something around the blood. And so I'm like, I'm going to rush you to the hospital. There's a literal hole in this man's leg. A literal hole, and blood is just gushing out everywhere. All over me, all over the car. It was crazy. So we're driving there. I'm just trying to keep him awake. I'm like slapping him, just being like, stay with me, stay with me. He's like trying to pass out, blah, blah. So we get him to the hospital, get stabilized, whatever. I did give him a blowjob in the hospital. I do remember that. Oh, I was like, you're in pain. Let me help you feel better. Look at what a giving girlfriend, fiance I am. I'm like, you're not feeling good, let me suck your dick. You know, I just gotta say that anybody who's ever been with me in a long-term relationship will tell you I don't slack on the blowjobs, okay? If I like you, I'm gonna suck that dick. Anyways, long story short with that is that there was like not a whole lot they could do. He had a literal fucking hole, like the whole ball hitch like went into his shin, like I could see his bone, but like it was such a gaping hole that they like didn't really have a way to close it. They were like, it's gonna heal is what they were said. They were like, it will heal back together, but like we can't really do anything. So like they just basically were like, let's keep it bandaged, like you can't walk. And so he just like immediately became like, was this normal person to like, I'm taking care of him. He's in excruciating pain because he has a literal hole in his fucking leg. So they just prescribe him like max dose of pain pills. Remind you, he had a problem with addiction before. He really shouldn't have been drinking anyways, apparently, but had slid back to drinking and now is injured and being prescribed pain pills on top of it. So as you can imagine, I become his caretaker. And so how that ends up turning out for me is not well, because I became just so engulfed in that relationship and he was not handling it very well. So I stopped really going to class. I stopped doing that. Like I literally kind of like just dropped out of school and got really involved in just taking care of him. And he basically ended up getting essentially fired from his job because he got addicted to the pain pills. And I remember being home for Christmas when we were together, and I ended up having to leave on Christmas to drive back because he had been addicted to the pain pills and was withdrawing. And I don't know if you've ever seen anybody withdraw from pain pills before, but it's really fucking scary. Like really scary. And so I ended up leaving on Christmas Day to go back to Tuscaloosa to take care of him and help him try to get off pain pills. Like it was like literally to the point where he was like crushing his pain pills and putting it in his drinks. And then there was a time like he got sick, and so they prescribed him cough syrup, and he was like getting fucked up with his cough syrup, like putting literally his cough syrup in like syrup and Sprite. It was wild to see somebody slip back into that, but to also be like, you're engaged to this person, right? Like you've already told people that you're engaged to this person, and to feel like stuck. And what a feeling that is. And like, oh, I can't imagine too, because again, we weren't together like super, super long. So I think that was where I was able to pull myself out. But I can't imagine having been in a relationship for like years, getting engaged to somebody and then realizing that they're not the right person after you've like sent out your wedding invitations or, you know, announced your engagement and stuff. Like I can see how people end up in marriages and things like that where they're like, yeah, I knew I shouldn't have walked down the aisle on my wedding day, but it's like you find yourself committed because you're committed to the commitment. Like, let me tell you, if you ever find yourself in that situation, please, like, nobody is going to be upset with you that you canceled the wedding, that whatever it is, like no one. Like you may feel that they are, but trust me, and I know that like you can get really attached to the family. Like I've been in that relationship too, where it's like, but I love his mom and I love his sister and we're so close and we hang out and they invite me on vacations, and it's like, you're not marrying the family, you're not dating the family, you're not marrying that, like you're marrying them, you're spending your day to day with them. How do they make you feel? How is the relationship with that person? During this time, we also completely stopped having sex, completely stopped being intimate at all. Like there was like zero intimacy. So it went from us being like hot and heavy, me giving him blowjobs in the fucking hospital type of hot and heavy, to nothing. Like we're not kissing, we're not making out. And I'm like trying to bring it up, like mentioning it, and he's just like, you know, obviously he's in pain. Like it's all so like I'm trying to be supportive and understanding and like not make a big deal of it. But then it's just like, okay, well then, you know, things start getting a little better, and like he's also like seemingly being flirty with like other people. And so it just became kind of a point of contention. And there was this point in the relationship where he essentially became, I mean, he never really got over his addiction, right? So he essentially lost his job. He also became pretty dependent on like getting money from his parents. But when he would get money from his parents, he would just spend that money on drugs and alcohol and wouldn't actually like pay his bills and things like that. So it was just being like super, super irresponsible. So it became like super unattractive. So it just became this point of contention in our relationship where I would like bring it up and be like, you're just like falling down this hole in this pit and like all of these things, like I'm not feeling good in this relationship. And he would just blame it on this and this and this. Well, then there was this one night where I guess he had been sending messages to his family and had a conversation with his father that was scary. Like it seemed kind of suicidal. It seemed like he was like not in a very good place. He was also like super fucked up. And his dad was really concerned for his safety. So his dad reached out to me and was just like, hey, would you mind looking in his phone? There's a contact for a local pastor that I know. His dad is a pastor. And so he was like, there's a contact in his phone that is for a local pastor who he trusts, who he knows, who he has a relationship, that I would really love if you could reach out to and just, tell him what's going on. And hopefully, he can talk to him in the morning or whenever. I was like, sure. So I go into his phone and, do all this, blah, blah, blah. Well, of course, while I'm in his phone, again, because things haven't been going the best, I go through his phone. And when I'm in his text messages, I notice that there are several messages from numbers that, aren't saved in his phone. And I was like, well, this is weird. At first I was like, maybe it could be, work messages, stuff like that. But, it's not like he's, really been working, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, and there's, quite a few messages that are from numbers that aren't saved. And I just found that really strange. This is 13 years ago, so spam texts weren't really a thing. And there's a couple of message threads where I'm like, what the heck is this? And start reading through them. And it is very clear that these are conversations around sexual things. It's essentially sexting with these people. There were a couple of messages that were I've never done something like this before, blah, blah, blah. Eventually it got to a point with this one in particular person via text that had given them the address to come to the house to meet. And so here I am. The Joker is passed out, fucked up. The kind of fucked up where if I'm screaming in his face, if I were to slap him, he's not waking up. So I just have to sit here and wait until he fucking wakes up. And I am so confused and so upset, but mad upset and just also fucking relieved. Relieved that there is something that gives me a solid reason to just finally be fuck this and fuck you. And I sat at the end of his bed for what felt like an eternity of not blinking my eyeballs, just staring at him, waiting on him to open his fucking eyes. And as soon as he opened his eyes, I just held up his phone and looked at him dead ass straight in the face and was like, are you fucking gay? And he goes, what? And I was like, I didn't fucking stutter. Are you fucking gay? And listen, I'm not saying gay in a derogatory way. I'm saying this in the sense of I'm engaged to somebody who's soliciting oral sex from men. What in the actual fuck? Is this why we're not having sex? Because you don't prefer me? And that's also something too that is just wildly not talked about and wildly common. How many men end up in relationships, married, with children, who aren't straight, who prefer men, who end up getting divorced? I know multiple people whose fathers have ended up divorced from their mothers and married to other men. I know multiple women who have ended up divorced and married to women. I have because this is just again, societally, it's just not accepted, right? But I can tell you that anybody who is creating a Craigslist ad soliciting oral sex from men is not a fully straight man and is definitely curious. He's came up with some sort of bullshit excuse of no, someone created that. And I was like, they didn't create the text message with all the responses. The fuck? But I was relieved in the sense of it finally gave me an out. It really did, because I was feeling I wanted to get out, and I was holy shit, I've made this huge mistake. This isn't the person that I thought he was. I'm not happy, blah, blah, blah. But I'd already committed. I was already engaged. I'd already told people, blah, blah, blah. We were already planning things, and I felt stuck. And it was as crazy as it was the universe's way of being here's your get out of jail free card, bitch. You made a bad decision and we're getting you out of this one. So fucking run in the opposite direction and you better learn your fucking lesson. And boy, did I ever. Like I said, each relationship is a new learning and a new experience. But yeah, that's my story of how I was engaged to a man who created a Craigslist ad to solicit men for oral sex. I don't know if he ever got his dick sucked, but I'm sure eventually I hope he has. Honestly, again, like I was saying, I never finished that thought. That like it makes sense to me though. Like his dad is a pastor. It's not acceptable. I've dated another guy who I felt kind of the same way about. Like I questioned whether or not he was bisexual, and like, listen, if you're into that, that's fine, but be honest about it. Like, don't try to hide it and pretend that it's something different and that you're interested in something that you're not. And like, maybe that's the whole message of this episode, is that like, I hope that you can figure it out for yourself and to like make your own independent decisions regardless of what society has told you and tells you, because it's just noise. Like, and it's not true. There's not all these rules and these things. Like, what matters is your happiness, and like the only way that you're going to be happy is if you stay true to what you need and what you want and what you value, surrounding yourself and creating a life that includes people who support that. Giving up on the idea of the one and this just like preconceived ideas of what life is supposed to look like or partnership is supposed to feel like, because it turns out it's not any of those things. Well, this has been fun. Thanks for listening to me ramble about all things love, relationships, and my crazy story about the time I was engaged. Hopefully I never have to tell you another story like that again in my life. But listen, I got lots of crazy stories, so I will definitely keep them coming. All right, you know the drill. Find me, please. Find me on the socials. Sharra Coley on TikTok and on Instagram. That's SHARRACOLEY. Please, please, please like, comment on this episode. Let me know what you think. Give me any ideas or topics or questions that you have and you want me to talk about. I would love, love, love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe. You can listen and watch this on Spotify. You can also listen and watch this on YouTube at the OVER Sharra. That's SHARRA podcast. All right, motherfuckers. I will see you when I see you next time. Be good now, you hear? Meow. Okay, bye.